Okay, here's how to beat the Demon of Hatred. You're going to want Suzaku's Lotus Umbrella for protection against the boss's fire attacks, and the Malcontent Finger Whistle upgrade for stunning the boss. This fight goes best if you have both prosthetics, but if you don't, then at least make sure you have the Lotus Umbrella. I'll be showing clips on beating the boss using both prosthetics together, but I'll also show how to beat the boss with just the Lotus Umbrella, as it is easily the most useful prosthetic for this encounter, whereas Malcontent is more of a nice to have. You'll also want Divine Confetti, Sameko Sugar, and the Ceremonial Tanto. And for the fastest possible kill, you'll also want to have some Yashiriku Sugar. I will show a clip of beating the boss without Yashiriku Sugar though, mainly because Yashiriku's reduces your vitality to the point that the boss can easily one-shot you, and I'm pretty sure not everybody wants to be under that type of pressure, especially early on when you're still trying to learn his attack patterns. That said, it's still pretty good to learn how to do it with Yashiriku Sugar, because using it makes the fight go faster than it otherwise possibly could. Be sure to unequip any combat arts you have equipped, as we won't be using any in this fight. The fight goes way smoother without any combat art equipped. You'll definitely want the Projected Force skill unlocked, as this makes the umbrella a weapon, and you'll also want to unlock Devotion to get more time out of your sugars. First up, let's look at the most dangerous but also the fastest way to take him down. Running too far from the steps will trigger the fight, so don't trigger it until you've popped your first buffs. Use the Ceremonial Dagger first to get more spirit emblems. I've already done that here. Pop a Healing Gourd to recover lost health, which I have already done. Then stop close to the foot of the stairs and pop a Divine Confetti and a Yashiriku Sugar. Once you've done that, immediately hook it to the boss. You should be able to get 5 hits in before the fight begins. When he does attack, he'll do any one of his phase 1 moves, all of which we'll see as the guide goes on, but usually he'll stomp his feet at you, which can be deflected with the sword, or he'll jump into the air and do a huge explosive body slam, which you'll block completely with the umbrella. After blocking it with the umbrella, the aim is to follow up with a Projected Force attack. Activate Projected Force by keeping the umbrella out and pressing attack after all the fire has dissipated. Don't press attack too early while the fire is still there, or you'll get knocked back. If you time it right, you'll do significant damage to him, but there's also a good chance that Projected Force will stun him as well. If he gets stunned, wail away with more attacks as long as he's down. We want to be aggressive. The goal is to stay on the boss the whole time, the aim being to break his posture before his health runs out, since breaking his posture is generally faster to do. However, the boss is also aggressive, so the key to doing that is to understand how to play aggressive while keeping yourself safe from his also aggressive attacks. The way to do that is to try and stay right up in his face, in front of him as much as you can. Being in front of him causes him to do his big explosive slam a lot, which is something you want, but being in front of him also enables you to read his attacks better, which in turn gives you the best possible opportunity to counter them, and countering them forms a big part of how we'll break his posture so fast. In basic terms, his close range attacks are of 2 types, physical and fire. Block his physical attacks with the sword, block his fire attacks with the umbrella. Staying safe while being right in front of him means picking which one is which. If he starts moving his firearm on your right side, get ready to block with the umbrella. If not, if you see he's telegraphing more from his left side, then get ready to block with the sword. The actual blocking isn't as hard as it first appears. Yes, you have to get some practice with his attacks and their timings. I mean, he is arguably one of, if not the hardest boss in the game. There's really no getting around learning his moveset if you want to beat him properly. But most of his physical attacks can be blocked by rapid tapping block, and nearly all of his fire attacks can be successfully stopped just by holding the umbrella out, even if you don't time it right. The aim is always to deflect with perfect timing, of course, but with this fight it is still always better to be too early than too late with your blocks. So let's rewind that first phase footage and look at some more of the moves he did while I was talking. So I start wailing on him at the start, and I'm prepared for him to do his foot stomps on me, but he jumps instead, and I block that with the umbrella, and then I use Projected Force. It doesn't stun him, and he does a foot stomp, and I block that foot stomp. He then jumps away, and I run at him because I want to stay aggressive. While I approach though, I take note of whether he's going to attack me with his firearm or from my left. I see him moving the firearm, I get ready to activate the umbrella, but because I make it to his legs in time, I don't activate the umbrella because I pick that I'm going to go underneath his attack, and so I just immediately start attacking him. Honestly, knowing whether you're safe to do that comes just with a bit of practice, but otherwise, if you're not sure, definitely activate the umbrella to block or deflect his fire attack if you think that's what's coming. If it goes over your umbrella and over your head, that's fine, at least you won't get hurt, but if not, you'll deflect or defend against it. So you want to wail away on him whenever he gets stunned like this, but get ready for what he's going to do next. What he did there was his perilous attack, which is basically a charge forward. The way to avoid it is to jump to the left. You can just jump straight up, you can just press jump, but I find jumping to the left is usually the safest method. However, you do need to be mindful of where all the little fires are around the landscape, because if you jump into a fire you will take damage, so try to be mindful of where they all are so that you can avoid them. Now I also said we want to be in his face as much as we can, but if he jumps back a long way like he's doing here, and especially if his back ends up against a wall or a mountain rock face or something like that, don't follow him, wait for him to come back in, but try to stay at a reasonable range. The reason for that is he will throw fireballs at you when you start coming in. So he comes about that range there, he throws them. If I'd been running in, they would have caught me or could have caught me. If you know what you're doing, you can time running underneath them, and you can defend against them by deploying the umbrella. However, it's a lot easier just to save your spirit emblems for other umbrella usage by staying back and waiting for him to throw them, and then once he throws them you can then run back in to close the gap. And while I do, he slams me with a fire swipe. I run in and I start wailing on him. But you'll have noticed then that I ran through the fire trail from that fire swipe. That's because once you defend against a fire attack, the fire trail that it leaves won't harm you. So long as you defended against it with the umbrella, you can run through that and you will be fine. So he jumps away, but I keep on the pressure. Now here he lifts his leg to do a big leg stomp. Now you can run around that to get behind him if you want, but I prefer to defend against it with a sword deflect. The reason for that is it's a chance to put some more posture damage on him, and it also keeps me in front of him so that whatever move he does next I can read easier and also defend against, just like I talked about earlier before. And in this case it makes it easy for me to see he's doing the jumping slam attack, which I defend against with the umbrella, and do a projected force attack. When he leaps back, I don't chase him because I'm mindful of the fact that he will throw those. Once he's thrown those, he falls down for long enough for me to go in. Again, he attacks with a fire swipe, which I block with the umbrella and then run in and hit him, which stuns him, enabling me to finish him off for phase 1. At the start of phase 2, he will do a slam that knocks you down, so jump away, and this is also an opportunity to pop a Divine Confetti and another Yashiriku Sugar. That smoke is related to the slam move that would have knocked you down had you been near him. You can run through the smoke and get a swipe or two on him. Now that is the new move he gets in phase 2. You couldn't really see it clearly there, but basically if we go back, what he does is he puts his head down to the right, he kind of swings himself around and raises his left foot, then he slams his foot down and his firearm and sends a big trail of fire spreading out across the map towards you. And while it looks really dangerous, it's extremely easy to defend against. All you have to do is deploy the umbrella before the fire hits you, and you will be able to tank all of that damage through the umbrella and be perfectly safe. You can jump out of the way of the attack too if you time it right, however the timing varies depending on how far away you are from him when he does it, so I kind of recommend just using the umbrella because it is a lot simpler, but it's up to you. So I defend against that stomp and he jumps away. Now he unleashes a combo. You can't really see it because I ran around him. Let's look at that again in slow motion. So he takes a swipe with his firearm, and I dodge through that at the last minute, so I basically iframe that, and then I run around his body, and because I run around him, I successfully avoid the backhanded swipe of the firearm as well as his right hand foot stomp. I then run all the way around, end up in front of him again, where I continue to wail away. And while that might look easy or like a good way to deal with this combo attack, it's actually not always consistent, and I wouldn't recommend it as the best way to deal with it. Instead, I'd suggest this first swipe is blocked with the umbrella. The backhand can be successfully deflected with the sword without taking any fire damage, and you can also deflect against the right foot stomp with the sword too. And when you do that though, he will throw out an extra fire swipe which needs to be deflected with the umbrella. Now, deflecting it with an umbrella and sword does take a bit of practice to get the timing right, but it deals a ton of damage to him. So we deploy the umbrella to block the fire swipe, we then block with the sword the backhanded fire swipe, and then with the sword again, deflect against the foot stomp. That will force him to do another fire swipe, which in turn is deflected with the umbrella, putting a ton of posture damage on him and allowing us to do a projected force attack to add even more damage. So this combo, while tough to defend against, is fantastic for putting a heap of damage on him. And it's not that hard to do. Hit the umbrella, rapid tap your sword, hit your umbrella again, and then do projected force. So here he's run away from me, and I don't want to chase him because I want to be cautious of those projectile attacks, but here he's doing that phase 2 move that you didn't get to see properly before. Now that was from a distance, so you got to see it properly. Let's just rewind that for a second. So you can see he puts his head down, spins around, slams down, and the fire trail comes out. I use the umbrella to defend myself against. You can see that grapple icon that appeared on him briefly. If you were close enough and you jumped the flame instead of used the umbrella, you would have been able to grapple to him to do some damage. But because I'm recommending using the umbrella instead of doing the jump, you'll never grapple to him at all. Instead, if you defend with the umbrella, as soon as you've done the initial defense, you can run straight through the line of fire and start attacking him. I don't do that here because I wasn't close enough. You can simply use the sword to block and deflect against that stomping swipe. And just like I suggested earlier, all you have to do is rapid tap block, and that will catch that attack every single time. So that's it for phase 2, at least in this clip. The final phase starts now. What you want to do is immediately pop a Yashiriku's Sugar and also switch your prosthetic to the Malcontent Finger Whistle. Activate the whistle the moment you see him swing to the right. He'll always open with a perilous attack, and if you catch him before he starts that perilous attack by activating the whistle when he swings to the right, you'll always interrupt it. Just keep hitting him over and over and over until he comes out of the stun lock. You have a 90% chance that he'll then jump away, and the moment he jumps away he's probably going to start some kind of attack, but if you interrupt that attack with another whistle, you'll stun lock him immediately again and can continue to wail on him. You can do it one more time for a total of 3 before he becomes immune to the stun lock. But if you popped a Yashiriku's Sugar, by that time you'll have his posture bar almost completely full. He might do anything at this point, but often he'll do his phase 3 perilous attack. This is the same perilous attack that he always starts phase 3 with. What he does is he does a fire swipe that you can jump. The next fire swipe will go high, so you have to stand still and not jump, and then the next fire swipe after that will go low again, so you just jump that as well. Sometimes though he'll sort of swing it up like he did there, but either way, if you jump it as if it was going to be a normal fire swipe, it won't hit you. So in simple terms, jump the first one, stand still, and then jump the third one. So if you popped a Yashiriku's Sugar at the start of that, used 3 Malcontent Finger Whistles on him, and then escaped his final attack, which is usually that perilous attack, you will actually have finished the boss by this point, providing your attack power is high enough, minus 12 in this clip, and most people will have an attack power of about 12 at this point in the game, so that should be it. So now let's look at doing the exact same fight, but this time without any Yashiriku's Sugar and also without using the whistle. We'll just use the umbrella, but we will use Divine Confetti and Eiko Sugar. Our approach to this fight won't be any different. It's exactly the same. The only difference is because we're using Eiko Sugar instead of Yashiriku's Sugar, it means we're putting out a little less damage, which means the fight will take a little longer. Because of that, we'll end up using our umbrella more than we did before, and because of that, we'll use more spirit emblems than we did before. To make sure that we don't run out of spirit emblems, because we'll be using the umbrella more, all we have to do is make sure we pop the ceremonial Tanto in between phases. And that's very easy to do because, as we'll see shortly, the boss goes down at the end of this phase for quite some time, enabling us to completely apply all of the buffs we want without a problem. So the footage that's been playing while I've been talking about spirit emblems and the ceremonial Tanto is exactly the same as you saw before. It's all the same phase 1 attacks that he has. I'm defending against all the fire attacks with the umbrella, and I'm defending against all of the left hand side or his right side attacks with the sword. Trying to play aggressive, so always trying to be in front of him, and as I'm in front of him, I'm keeping my mind on, is it a fire attack coming from his left firearm, which is on my right side, or is it a telegraphed movement coming from the left that means I should rapid tap block to catch it with the sword, and that's all I'm doing while following him around to wear his posture down and end the phase. Now this is the moment where you use the ceremonial Tanto, also you pop the heal to recover from the damage it does to you, and pop a Divine Confetti and Eiko Sugar. Just like we did in the previous one, only this time it's Eiko Sugar instead of Yashiriku's Sugar. Here's his new big phase 2 attack, which is easily blocked completely with the umbrella. Here's his combo, block with the umbrella, 2 with the sword, then with the umbrella again, then immediately projected force. Sometimes he'll be stunned there, other times he might do a stomp. Whenever you're at his feet, always keep your eye open for him doing a stomp. All you have to do is rapid tap block to catch it, but yeah, he can stomp at a moment's notice, so you should always be mindful that he could do that when you're playing aggressive. This is his fireball attack. Avoid it by running towards him but in a kind of circle or arc. Once he does that stance, you can get a few hits on him at the end. That means the fireball attack is over. Here's that combo: umbrella, rapid tap block, umbrella, projected force, and that's a ton of damage from that combo, so we like that. Deflect against the big stomp. Oh, and that's a headbutt. Let's rewind that and look at that in slow motion because we haven't seen that before. What he'll do is sometimes he'll raise his head up and then he'll slam it down on you in a big headbutt. Sometimes he'll do it once, sometimes he'll do 3 in quick succession. All of them can be deflected by rapid tapping block, or like I did there, you can deflect it with the umbrella if you're unsure of what's actually coming. So that's it for phase 2. Now we move into the final phase, and this time it's different because we won't be using the malcontent whistle, so you will get to see a number of extra moves that he has in phase 3 that we skipped before. Now he doesn't pause for the same amount of time at the start of this phase that he did at the last one, so you don't have time to pop all of your buffs. Instead, pop your Eiko Sugar and forget the rest. Okay, he always opens up with his perilous attack, so you jump the first one, you wait, and then you jump the third one. Now you can get a hit or two on him. Now he does put a ring of fire around you, and it can be quite troublesome because he can jump out of that ring of fire, and when he does, he becomes practically invisible or extremely difficult to see. While he's outside of the fire, he can do his perilous rush attack through the firewall and into the area where you are. Just get ready to jump that like I did there. He might also do the same phase 2 slam attack, sending a big wall of fire going along the ground towards you, which you'll be able to defend against with the umbrella. Or he might throw fireballs at you and you just suddenly have to start running around a circle to avoid them as they come flying at you through the wall of fire. It's a bit RNG and it's a bit hard when you can't see him, but the firewall does disappear pretty quickly, so you've just got to do your best to survive until the firewall disappears and you can actually see him properly. So yeah, there's that. He can do that one through the firewall, which is really hard to catch if you can't see him, and he can do that one too, which is really hard to avoid when you're trying to run within the firewall, but you just have to do the best you can. Yeah, so basically phase 3 entails all of the previous attacks and the new perilous attack where you have to jump the first swing, stand still for the second, and jump the third. And also keep your eye out for the charge attack, which he tends to do more in this phase, mainly because he's more aggressive, but like we've seen, you just jump that. And that's about it. What I'll do now is I'll end this guide by showing a full fight from start to finish, putting everything together. To make it a little different, I'll use Eiko Sugar and the umbrella for phase 1 and 2, and then Yashiriku Sugar and the whistle to end phase 3. As usual, I'll let you watch it without my narration. Enjoy.